People tend to think that OCD is about being incredibly neat or flicking light switches on and off and washing your hands 100 times. For me, that's not the case. But I will spend 2 weeks researching motorcycle tyres just to buy the same ones I've already got. I do get stuck in routines and patterns and obsessive thoughts. Here's a few of the ways that I display these symptoms. I recognise my own mortality. It's really bizarre. I'm super aware of life and death. Not to a point where death scares me, but in a way where I feel like I'm the one that will have the catastrophe. Everyone else thinks cancer's for other people. In my mind, there's a part of me that's like, no, you're not here for the full ride. This ride will end early. We don't know when or why, but for some reason, it's always been a thought in the back of my head since I was a kid. Before we'd go on holiday, we used to go on trips to Turkey and go on boat trips and things like that. The amount of nights I've been in bed aged 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, 15, I don't know, and thought, I'm going to be someone who goes out on a boat trip, who gets tangled up in a rope underneath a boat and drowns. I get hyperfixated on things that are unimportant or irrelevant to most, like I have a motorcycle. It needed new tyres. I spent 2 weeks researching every different tyre for this bike, looking at A versus B, B versus C, comparing different price options, different weather, rain options. I ended up buying the same pair of tyres I already have on. Perfectionism. Perfectionism is massive. I get crippled prior to doing a task about overthinking how it's going to go, how I'm going to do it. I jump straight in with step 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and I'm trying to plan the whole thing. I like structure and format. And the perfectionism really throws a spanner in the works. That can be anything, something business related, something real life related. It could even be just turning the camera on. I've sat here for 30 minutes, scratching my head, being like, right, how do I get this right? I've had to just turn it on and go. My entire life I've been scared to leave the front door unlocked in my house, or any door for that matter, or any window. I always will check the door. The door is always locked when I'm in the house. It can be massively inconvenient for my wife. I get it. Sometimes you just want to walk into your own house when you come home. But I have this sort of irrational fear that someone will come in, or there'll be a break-in, or there'll be a home invasion. I've never had that. I've never struggled with that. I'm lucky enough that I've never been burgled. But at the same time, I've got this deep down intrinsic fear that that'll be me. And I can check the door 15 times a day. I just tap that handle every time I walk past. I need to know it's locked. The amount of times I've set off on a journey, turned round 30 seconds in, and just come home to, yes, find the door was locked. But the worst thing is, sometimes there's these 1 in 100 examples where I come home, check the door, and the handle isn't locked. That resets the fear. That is a big one, just restarting this little fire in my mind. I am quite organised with my belongings. I like to know where my things are. When I used to live at home, on my own or with parents, I could tell you where every single item was. I know where they are. They're almost mentally documented. They're bookmarked up there. Now, I live with my wife, who's on the ADHD side of things. I've got 2 girls, twins, age 3. I now know where nothing is. That makes me very uncomfortable because it's really hard to find anything. And it just makes me anxious, not knowing where things are, not having the order and regiment that I like. I get hyper-fixated when I've got a problem, such as, at the minute, it's my business. I feel like my business needs to be performing better. I'd like to increase my income. I'd like to get more financial stability. When something like that happens, my mind tricks me into thinking that is my life. Like my biggest insecurity or my biggest concerns become everything. My mind will not shut up. I don't get any time for peace. And that sounds really daft, but I just can never sit and have no thoughts. I am thinking about something. I'm always moving mentally. I never get time to rest or relax. It's always go, go, go. What's next? What can I do? How can I improve? And I just never get a breather. I have to optimize everything for efficiency. And same again, it's really bizarre, but if I'm sat down on the sofa downstairs and I finish my lunch, I'll be thinking, right, I need to take these plates into the kitchen, I need to go for a wee, I need to go check the front door's locked, and I'll try and do it in this strange logical path of efficiency. Sometimes I can spend more time thinking and planning about how to do things in the best way than I would have lost just by doing them. I could eat the same meals every single day. I do not get bored of repetition. For me, I prefer it. I like to do the same things with regularity. The same way I went to the gym for about 13 years. I'd go between 5 and 7 times a week. And throughout that time, there's been full months where I have trained every single day. I've trained on Christmas Day, maybe 5 or 6 times. And I just love continuity. I loved starting something and then every day just touching it, just chipping away at it, just checking in. I run my own business, so I feel like yes, sometimes this OCD really has pros and it can help me in some ways. We'll get to that. But at the same time, when I can't make progress on a certain task or journey that I'm trying to take on, I can get really disheartened, almost to the point where I want to give up. If I can't give it my full attention, there's part of me that's like, well, it's not worth any attention. Go and do something properly, or don't do it at all. And that really holds me back. And this is very similar to the perfectionism, but I really struggle with making a start on a task I don't think I can complete to a good enough standard. So I suppose that is the perfectionism, but things like DIY. I've got toddlers that are 3 years old, 2 little girls, putting a baby gate around the fire. We don't want them to go near the fire, of course not. It took me weeks to put that in, and I'm there with a pencil marking it out and drilling it and making sure it's all right and accurate, and then I put it in, and it wasn't. And it took me ages to get it going, to get it right. And I'm thinking, this is going to be great. It's going to be perfect. And by the time I'd finished and sat down, it wasn't perfect. And all I could think was, you don't get a chance to do that again now. That's just done. That's a permanent fixture. In reality, we all know it's not. It doesn't matter. But at the same time, I get this over-analysis of perfection. And it puts me off doing things, particularly DIY. I don't know whether that's part of the mess and disorganization, plus the perfectionism, and they sort of battle it out to be who can be the biggest evil. But yeah, that's quite a good example of something I struggle with. And one of the more unknown, unusual things, I can't watch horror films because if something bothers me, it sticks with me for a long time. I will play loops over in my mind about the worst scenes that I've saw. I'm quite into videography and films and cinema, but at the same time, people keep telling me, John, it's not real. I know it's not real, but they do a good job. They make it look real, and my mind keeps reminding me. It keeps going over it, just replaying the same loops endlessly. So no, horror films are off the menu for me as a 30-year-old male. So now we know the negatives. That's what I'm dealing with. Everyone has their own different flavour, their own different mixture of spices. But how can it be used for good? I run my own business. And it turns out to be really, really, really good at anything requires obsession. You need to be hitting things constantly. If you're trying to start a new business and you're just doing an hour a week, it might not get there. If you are stuck in this business like I am now, every single waking minute is like, how can I improve? How can I do this? How can I do that? I'm problem solving, sometimes without problems. I'm just trying to improve things and refine and be very detail oriented. So when it comes to running a business, it can be beneficial. But inside some brackets saying beneficial to an extent, it does cause problems as well. It makes things hard. But you've got to find the positives, right? We need to take a good spin on OCD and use it to our strengths. Try and make the most out of it, because there's nothing I can do about it. This is how my mind's wired. So I can't change that. I just need to know how to use it. So now that we've covered some of the bad parts, especially my flavour or my mixture of spices in OCD, how do we use it for good? Because as much as it is a plague and it's a mental health problem, it really is. It's no fun at all. But at the same time, you've got to use what you've got. I only got given what I got given, and up here, we haven't got to the point where we can start changing things too much yet. So you've got to make the most of it. The first thing is, when I run my own business, as I do, it makes me really detail-oriented. I am such a stickler for things being right. There's been products come in the past that I've ordered and shades of colour have been wrong, or bits have just been not quite right. That bothers me, which is good in terms of running a business to put out the best possible product, but it's bad because it really holds me back with some of the more creative endeavours. I'm trying to create an email for my customers. Sometimes I can just get sat there and be refining the same things when in reality they're not being refined, they're just being changed. And all I'm doing is looking at different versions. Me not being a customer from my business, I own it and I run it. I can never interact with my business as a new person, which is why it is silly that I keep trying to dial things in. Sometimes I need to just stop and be like, that will do. One thing that really helps is setting a time frame. I'm like, right, I've got 30 minutes to make this email and send it. Whatever I make will go. Because it turns out sometimes you make something and it's fine. And without doing the testing, without doing checking, without sending it and seeing the response, you don't know that. Sat here in your own head thinking, oh, I don't know if that's good enough. Yeah, but you've got no proof that it's bad. And that's somewhere that trips me up. So setting a timer, or even I sometimes use a Pomodoro clock. It sets a 25-minute timer, then you get a 5-minute breather at the end. That works tremendously for me. Routine dependence. I really, really depend on routines. I create them, I form them. They are the core of my being. I need to be doing the same thing. I worked a job in engineering for 12 or 13 years. It had flexi time. To anyone who doesn't know, that's where your hours are flexible. You need to do 38 hours this week at work. So if you want to come in one day and start at 7 and you've got a doctor's appointment at 1, you clock out at 12:30, clock back in at 2:30, and you've still got like your 9-hour day minus the 2 you were missing. You just make it up somewhere else in the week. So it's a really nice, friendly system. Did I ever use it? No. I created a routine around it. I'd start at 7, I'd finish at 4 or 4:30 every single day. So routines are absolutely paramount to me feeling like I'm moving through life in a way that feels controlled. I like to know what's coming. I hate nothing more than going on a trip or a holiday or an adventure with friends or family or other people, not knowing what's coming. I like to know exactly what's happening. I like to be able to prepare. And the unknown, I find that tricky. The benefit to the routine dependence is things like the gym. I went to the gym for, I think it was 12 years. And like I say, I'd go every single day, or 5 days a week, or 4 days a week, or 7 days a week. I'd just go so consistently that over the years, I feel like you can't not progress, right? You've got to be doing something really wrong to not have made any progress over even 3 years. So the routine dependence, yes, it can be a problem when the routines are broken. For example, the kids get sent home from nursery. One of them's unwell. All of a sudden, I get broken off from work, have to go to nursery, pick up the kids, bring them home. That throws the world's biggest spanner right in my head. I'm not saying I can't handle it, but the trauma, the turmoil that gets generated from a complete change that's out of the blue really does set me off. And the next thing, obsessive thought loops. So I get these thoughts, these obsessions. It can be anything, like as you referenced earlier, motorbike tyres. There can be something that is insignificant, or I can start diving into problems that are significant. At Mergs, that's the business I run, and customers always email me saying, "Hi, John, how do I send these back? I've gone through so many different versions of sending out new emails, sending out this, sending out that, putting little insert cards in with their order, and just trying to solve this problem to remove the burden from me." And it's worked. Like I now send out these little cards saying this is how you do returns. So it turns out overthinking these problems sometimes can solve them. It really can be beneficial. I give these problems so much more time than other people, partially because I'm thinking in my downtime, which I don't have any downtime. And that is quite a powerful thing. Because my mind never stops working, I do get to the bottom of things. For example, it might take me 24 hours to solve that problem because in my world, I'm thinking about it for like 10 or 12. To someone else, it might take them a week because they only think about this problem an hour or 2 a day. So that's how it can be beneficial. The opposite of that is if it's a negative problem, like we've got a large bill coming up or the business has got a VAT bill or there's something that's problematic, that sticks with me too. I get caught up on either the good, the bad, and especially the ugly. So these traits can really, really make some things hard, but at the same time, if you learn how to use them, you can really supercharge productivity or getting things done. So I try and lean into that as much as possible. It's not always possible, but that's the focus, to make the OCD work for me. So we've found some of the bad, we've found where we can use a little bit of that good, but how do we get around some of these things? The first one is doing things to finish them, not to perfect. And I know it's easier said than done. It really is. It takes time, like everything. Consider this like a mental physiotherapy session. You can't just say, right, I'm going to do that, snap. No, that's what I found. It doesn't work like that. You've got to try a lot of different things to just find what you can be comfortable with. The first thing, perfectionism. Like I say, I just look at things as a first draft. I set timers. I just try and set a deadline of completion, not perfection. Because in reality, perfection isn't even real. I'm a big believer of that. Perfect doesn't exist. That's your version of perfect. It's not someone else's. Do you know, like when you go outside and you might do your hair to go out and you're like, right, my hair looks like I want it. You go outside, you get blown around by the wind. Other people see you. They never even see what you deemed perfect. They never even see that. It doesn't exist. The world is always moving and evolving and dynamic. In the same way that if you paint and decorate your house, from the minute you are finished, it has started deteriorating. You'll find brush marks on the wall. There might be a spider that's crawled onto a wet bit of paint. Perfection isn't real. And I know for us with OCD, we can get roped into this trap of it's got to be the best it can. But I've been really trying to do things to time rather than to my own insane, made-up standards. Give your brain structured routines that it likes that have no negative impact. I'll be honest, we all know we need to eat a varied diet and we need to get vegetables and nutrients in, but is me eating the same meals for a full week really that negative to my health? Probably not. It's probably not that big of a deal. So if you can control these things, why not? That's where I was. Every time I'd go to work, I'd be like, right, I'm having tuna and rice and that's it. It was just so easy. It was unbelievable. And that just sat well with me. Did I see any negative consequences? No, of course not. And there are examples where it can cause problems. But at the same time, if it works and it's not a problem, there's part of me that sits here and I'm like, why fight it? I can eat the same food every day. That just makes my life easier. I don't have to think about it now. It's not a consideration. I know what I'm eating for breakfast, lunch and tea. Sorted. Challenge the intrusive thoughts. I've been trying to play that game lately. Some days are better than others. Some days I'm feeling good. I'm feeling positive. I can look at the door and be like, you're probably locked. You'll be fine. And I get in the car and drive away, think nothing of it. And then some days when I'm just feeling a little bit more sensitive, I'm like, I better check. But I've been trying to fight these compulsions and these urges to do certain things. You know, there's times, like I say, when I get up and I'm trying to do this efficient routine and I'm like, no, it doesn't matter. Just go answer the door. So I've just been trying to fight it. Sometimes you win those battles, sometimes you don't. And there's part of me again that's like, look, if it works and it doesn't matter, look, nobody's probably going to climb through my bathroom window. That statistically, very unlikely. So does it matter if I get home and the window is open and I never knew? No, because nothing bad has come of it. So I've been trying to tell myself, you can't be upset if nothing bad's happened. You know, like you can't manufacture things in your own head to be crying about, which is what OCD makes me do. But at the same time, when you do have control, I try and execute control or even play games. Be like, I wonder if I can walk out my office today, lock the door and not come back. And sometimes you do it, you've not even noticed. And it's nice when those little wins come in. And the last thing, go get help. Seriously, go get help. Speak to people who've got half an idea about what's going on. ChatGPT knows more than half of the people that you speak to. Sometimes people are like, they just don't get it. Other people that don't understand it don't understand it. It's probably like saying, oh, John, can you relate to someone who's got cancer? No, I cannot. I can't offer you support. I can tell you nice things, but I don't get it. So go and find these support groups with people that help. Go see your doctor. To me, the biggest change was when I got prescribed fluoxetine, which is also known Prozac in the US. It helped a ton. I've been struggling with depression, and I think the OCD, plus having twins, age 3, really has caused that depression. The doctors, they've been fantastic. They've been so supportive. I know not everyone's is, and the NHS, it can be a 1 out of 10. But at the same time, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time to plant a tree is right now. In other words, it might take you 3 years to get the treatment you need. It might take you 5. But if you start today, it's then only 2 years, 364 days away, not the full 3. If you leave it 3 years and then it takes 3, it's now 6. So if you are looking to go to the doctors, I would advise it. It's fantastic. Just get some support from someone. Talk to ChatGPT as well. That's my therapist. It really is. I talk to ChatGPT all the time. It taps into all of human knowledge. It's not going to bullshit you and make stuff up. Okay, sometimes it's not quite as accurate as you'd like. But at the same time, when it's giving more of a therapy guidance, it's like, well, there's no wrong answers here. This is just an opinion from a robot. And I really find that comforting. It really helps. Or even talk to friends and family. Seriously, chatting to my wife might be the biggest thing I've ever done. Because she helps. I now get up in the morning and go to work before I see the girls. That just takes a little bit of stress off. I get into work thinking, wow, I'm ahead of the game. Rather than getting to work thinking, wow, I'm behind. There's only been about an hour and a half difference. That's it. I'm not behind and I'm not ahead. But if it just puts you at ease, it can make a massive difference to your whole day. Like I say, I get stuck in these routines. So if I have a bad start to the day, sometimes that can just cling to me all day and not leave me alone. So little tiny optimizations, little tiny improvements in different places can have a massive impact on things in the future. So if any of this sounded familiar, you're not weird. There's just a lot of people, like me and you, that are out there struggling with this. It is so incredibly hard to describe to other people. There'll be a lot of people that watch this and go, wow, yeah, I get it. I'm always checking the door handle. To someone who that's not a consideration, they're like, that's weird. Well, yeah, it is, but we're all weird in our own different ways, right? We just need to learn how to manage it. That's it. Because to me, I'm of the mindset of, look, it's not going away. This is how I am. I'm wired in a certain way. I got built by whatever. And this is how they decided that I'm going to be. So I have to try and figure out ways to make this work. And once you do, you can do some really cool things. There might be cool things that you've done that you never realized were associated to the OCD. Maybe once you did a painting and it took you 3 weeks and you did it and you're like, wow, I spent 3 weeks on this. Yet that could be part of the obsession. There's going to be lots of things. I mean, to me, I only learned all this when I got to like 27, 28. I'm 30 now. I've only known for 2 years. I've always known I've had the routines and the unorthodox styles of doing things. But it's never been enough to where anyone's ever noticed. But now that I've noticed, I'm like, oh my God, that's all sorts. So yeah, all this is about is transforming these traits from being negative ones to positive ones. Trying to just take little diversions that can make a massive difference on the whole journey. And I'd love to hear from you. If you've got any experiences, if there's any traits you can relate to, or you've got any others that would fit on a big, massive board along with mine, please let me know in the comments. That'd be great. I'm fascinated to learn more and just to chat more about this as a topic. Because mental health's really important. And those that don't struggle don't get it. So let's do this, team. Team OCD. So if anything's going to get stuck in your head for the next week, I hope it's how to improve your life, how to make the most out of OCD, and how to benefit from it. Because it's not easy. It'll take a long time to figure out. But like I say, let's plant that tree.